Thanks for coming back to Praying Hands and Walking Feet, the channel where we're finding our way without a compass or a map. I'm Tori, and today's topic is all about extracurricular activities. All those things that our kids are involved in outside of school or learning. Now, we live up here in the Northern Virginia area, and it is a fast-paced place to live. Everybody is going everywhere. Everybody is doing everything. There are competitive sports teams, there are travel teams, there is this and that, and it feels like if you're not involved and all in all of it with all of your kids, then you're missing out or you're behind or something like that. And so honestly, the pandemic was a great blessing for our family in the point that it made everything stop. It wiped our schedule totally clean. We didn't get a say in it. We didn't have to make a decision about it, but there were no activities to go to. And so what happened? We actually got back together as a family. We had more family time. We went on more family hikes. We had family dinner together every night, which is something that is important to us. But it sometimes has to give when you have a sports schedule with 3 children. And it was great. And so the one thing that my husband and I talked about towards the end of the pandemic was how we now had a different viewpoint. We had now been able to see things from a different perspective and experience life in a different way, because somehow we had just slowly gotten into this rat race of all the kids being in all the things and going everywhere. And honestly, our kids weren't even in half of the things that our friends' kids were. And so we actually thought that we were doing really well at balancing everything and not living a stressful life, but it was stressful. Every night on our calendar was full with something. There was no margin until the pandemic. And then there was a ton of white space on the calendar, and the kids had freedom to just play with their Legos to their heart's content after dinner, or to build forts, or to just play outside for hours like we used to when we were kids. So we decided that we were going to be intentional once things started opening back up. We were going to make decisions differently, and we were really going to stop and think about, is this important or is this not? Do we need to sign back up for this? Like, what are we actually getting ourselves into? And when we do sign up for this, do we have margin left in our schedule, in our days and our weeks and our nights and our weekends? Well, spoiler alert, we did end up getting back into it. The kids, all 3 kids were in scouts. All 3 kids were in their sport that they picked. Now, only one of those sports happened to have things on the weekend, so that was great. Our weekends did stay pretty open, and that was a blessing, but our weeknights, oh my goodness, they were rushed. Even with us homeschooling and getting dinner and us having dinner together most nights, then we were still running all around. And so as we did that for a whole nother couple of seasons, we really sat back and said, okay, what is this accomplishing? Like, why is it so important to us to have our kids involved in these things? And so my husband and I had a discussion, because we do have goals for our kids. Each kid is an individual. Yes, we have family goals for the whole family as a unit, but each kid is an individual, and they are working on or learning or growing in different areas at different times. And so we looked at each kid and thought about, okay, the activities that they're in, are they helping that child reach those goals? Or is it a positive, motivating, uplifting activity that is helping them grow and develop into the person that God created them to be? Or is it just something fun that they like to do? And so we actually had some harsh realities. With our oldest, one of the activities he's in, he loves, and he's made some great progress, and he's overcome some hurdles, but it's not helping in the major goal areas for what he is growing and developing in. So yes, it's a fun activity, and there's nothing wrong with having fun activities, but this particular activity was costing a lot of money and a lot of time because the lessons were short and they were a couple of times a week. And so we were going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it was expensive also. And so weighing the cost of our time and our money versus what we were getting out of it, the benefits, it really didn't make sense to continue this activity. And so that's a hard thing to do as a parent, because yes, he likes doing it and he thought that he would be going all the way through in this activity, but it really just, once we boiled it down, it wasn't worth it. Now, it's not to say that it's that way for all of our kids, but there are other activities that he could look into that he might also enjoy that would also help reach towards some of those goals that we have for him and that he has set for himself too. It's not just us dictating what goals are for him, but that he has set for himself also. And so then we looked at my daughter and what she was involved in. And honestly, she loves to just try everything. She does not have one sport that she has gotten into and stuck with all the way through, like our oldest, but she just wants to bebop around and try everything, which is great and wonderful. I love that she is open to experiencing things and trying new things. And the activity that she had picked was the one that had the most time commitment. And so that was unnecessary. And again, weighing the time versus the reward of, yes, her trying new things and all of that, there were other ways for her to try those new things that didn't take up as much time. And so we needed to look at that and go, okay, that's not helping us get towards one of her goals. And then we looked at our youngest and the activities that he was in. And we found actually that the activity that he was in did help meet some of the goals that we had for him and that he had for himself. And it wasn't a lot of time. And so it was a beautiful match. But unfortunately, the season ended and it was a very short seasonal sport. And so we're just going to wait until the next season, and he's taking a break until then. Well, we decided over the summer that all we were going to do was just swim team. All 3 kids are in swim team. It's a life skill that everybody needs to know how to swim. And everybody was together at one place. It was family time for the swim meets, and it's a beautiful community around where we live, honestly. And so for summer, that's what we did. And then we decided that coming into the fall, we're not doing any sports. None of the kids are going to be doing any sports, because what we found was that Scouts, which all 3 are involved in Scouts was where they were making those true, long-lasting friendships. Scouts was where we had made those family bonds with other Scout families, where we were getting together outside of Scouting events. Scouts was where they were pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, trying new things, stepping into leadership roles, and experiencing things that they hadn't ever experienced before. And with Scouting, they were also outside and having some more free play, outdoor energy activities that were more like what my husband and I experienced when we were growing up. And so we decided that for our family, we were going to continue in Scouting for right now, and that would be our focus for the fall, was all 3 children in Scouts and doing Scouting activities. And oh my goodness, once I put that on the calendar, I just felt this weight come off of me. Like, I don't need to keep up with the Joneses. We don't need to be on competitive sports teams or on travel teams or do all of this, because let's be real, my kids are not going to get drafted to the MLS or the NBA or anything like that. Now, some kids are. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I know our family and our kids, and that's not one of their life goals. So why are we going to pour all of our time and energy and money into something like that? But seeing the margin that was going to be on our calendar, seeing the free weekends that we would have to be going on hikes in the Shenandoah, which we all love to do, but we haven't had time to in the past because it takes us 45 minutes to drive there, and then a good hike, and then a 45-minute drive back. And if you have sports on the weekend, I'm sorry, that's not happening. So maybe you're looking for margin in your schedule. Maybe you're thinking, do I need to do this? Does my kid really need this? And you just need permission to just say no. I'm giving you that permission. Just say no. Now, there might be some pushback from your kids because there was some from ours. Not all of them, but some of them. And we decided on a compromise that maybe in the winter season, when we're indoors more and things like that, and we're having to get more creative with activities, that we might revisit sports again just for the winter season. But we had decided that for fall and for spring, we wanted margin and we wanted space and we wanted the time to be able to go and do fun things together as a family. And without all 3 kids in sports, we then had extra budget to be able to actually go and do some extra fun things that we haven't done in the past because the budget hasn't been there because it's been going towards everybody's sports things. So now we could do some other things with that margin in our schedule and that margin in our budget. Now, I will say that they were not very happy, but they're coming around to understand why. And as our job as parents is not to make our children happy, it's to raise them to be good, wholesome, kind, caring people in this world. And for us, having a strong family connection and spending good quality family time together, that's going to help build those qualities in our children and to help build those relationships within our family and with friends. We also realized that after the pandemic, we did not have the time to have any family friends over for barbecues. Now that is something that we all love. My husband loves to cook on the grill. We love to just have people over, very low key. We are not fancy people. I do not put out a full spread. It's just on the counter. But we love to have people over. The kids love to have friends over to play and just be with each other, be in community. And we, because of our schedule, hadn't been able to do that. And so we're super excited about the fall where we are going to be able to have our weekends open and invite friends and family over and go on some hikes and explore some new things together as a family. So if this sounds like something you are wanting to do, drop a comment below and let me know what would you do? Just daydream for a little bit. If you took time off of some of your kids' activities, you don't have to drop all of them, but if you took time off of some of them, maybe just say we're putting a pause on it. What would that do? What would you do with that time? What would you do with that extra money in your budget? I'm curious to know, so drop a note below and make sure you hit subscribe so that you don't miss any videos from us here at Praying Hands and Walking Feet. See you next time.